Welcome back to Mom's Creative Moments. This is Kim, and I am creating a double page spread today. This is a double page spread that is a mirrored image. So the left side and the right side mirror each other. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put one side together and then we will put the other side together to match. So we're going to cut two of just about everything that we're doing, and it will come together beautifully in the end. All right, let me explain what I've got set out here on my workspace so that you have a better understanding of what you're going to need to do this layout. I have our border maker system and the border maker cartridge that is the ribbon with the arch on the side. So let me hold that up so you can see that a little bit better. That reflective surface is kind of difficult sometimes to see. All right, but you could use any type of a border that would cover about a ½ inch, or maybe more like 3/4 of an inch. That's going to be a little bit more like 3/4 of an inch. All right. So, but if you haven't used our border maker, now would be a great time to try that. It's a really wonderful tool and it really has a bunch of options. So we're going to use our permanent adhesive and our repositionable adhesive, but I'm going to move that out of the way for a second. I have two mats that come from our Devotion collection. This one says Grow Old Along With Me, The Best Is Yet to Be by Robert Browning. And this one is going to be the mat that we're going to cut this to fit onto to form a specific element of this layout. But for now, I'm just going to set that aside because it will come at the end. I also have a tiny little scrap that we're also going to use just to make a flag. And we're going to make another flag. I just haven't decided what paper to use with it just yet. All right, so I have several papers here. You see this one already has my reminder of how I need to cut that. This paper right here and this paper right here both come from our Keep the Faith collection from a couple of years ago. This one comes from our Devotion decorative pack. You'll notice it's foiled and has hearts, foiled hearts on it, so they're shiny. This page right here comes from also from the Keep the Faith collection. And then the two sheets of wood that we're going to use as our base right here, these come from an old package of timber. So if you have some other wood that you like, wood paper, wood looking paper that you like, those will look lovely. This page I got from Hobby Lobby, I think. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that on here. Maybe that's too much information, but I just loved it, and I was in a bind and not at home, so I didn't have access to my stash. And when I was working on some pages for my other nephew's wedding album, and so I went to Hobby Lobby and found this really nice paper that has all of the beautiful love words: to have and to hold, I do, from this day forward, love, laughter, and friendship forever, that kind of thing. So I'm going to use a sheet of that because it fits with my theme and it works beautifully with these papers. So for now, I'm going to move our base pages out of the way so we can get back to those in just a little bit. And we're going to start cutting a few of these pieces. So get your trimmer, and we're going to start with this beautiful blue decorative sheet. And this has, let me just move these sheets out of the way too. We'll get back to those in a sec. Okay, so this sheet, I really love this sheet because it reminds me of like a blueprint of some kind of cathedral or something like that. And so that's kind of what I'm going for here. And this sheet is going to be become the mats that we're going to use on 2 of the main photos on this page, on each of these pages. So we're going to cut 2 of the same, and we're going to cut, we're going to start by cutting, let's see, I'm going to start by cutting this at 9 inches. So I'm going to need my arm. There we go. Okay, so we're going to cut this at 9 inches. I'm going to set that piece aside. Then we're going to turn this, and we're going to cut this piece at 6.5 inches. Set that piece aside. Now we're going to take the remaining piece and turn it again horizontally and cut it at 4.5 inches. And now again, we are cutting for 2 12 by 12 layouts. We're making all the pieces now, so it'll be much easier to figure out. So there's 2 of our mats, set those aside. All right, now we're going to take this lighter shade of blue paper, and this one we're going to cut at 8.5 inches. Let me check the other side. Oh, there's no pattern on the other side, so we're good. So we're going to do 8.5 inches. Set that piece aside, turn it horizontally, and we're going to cut these, or this piece at 6.25. Sorry, my notes suddenly were speaking Greek to me. You ever have that happen? Happens to me every now and then. All right, and then we're going to turn it horizontally again and cut it at 4.25. So when you're done, you should have 2 mats that are each 6.25 by 4.25. All right, so those are going to go with our darker blue mats up there. Then we're going to take our foil strip with the hearts on it. Get my little notes off of here. We're going to cut a strip out of this paper that is going to just be 5/8 of an inch. So a little bit more than half. So let's see, there we go. There's 5/8. Just make sure your trimmer is straight. There we go, got 5/8. I'm going to set that aside. Now we're going to keep this same paper. Don't set your trimmer too far away. We're going to need that again shortly. But we're going to use our border maker very quickly and use our heart paper. I'm going to pop this cartridge into the housing, which is what this piece is. This holds the cartridge. We push this button on the back and it releases the cartridge. But when you hear it go pop, it's solidly in there and it won't come out. Okay, now we're going to use our paper holder. We're going to flip out the guide from underneath and lock it in place. You can feel it when it is locked in place. We're going to slip our paper, our heart paper in all the way to the bumper on the guide and close down our blue arm. The blue arm has a magnet in it that now holds our paper steady. And we're going to fold that guide back underneath and pop it in so that it's stuck underneath. All right. Now we're going to take our border maker. You'll notice we have notches on the front. The notches fit right in here. So the paper goes right in between the punch, right in this opening right here. Paper goes right in there. And then this notch on the top right here, which you can feel with your fingernail, goes right into, or lines right up with the notches all along the blue magnetic arm. Okay, so we start at one end and you can feel when it's in the right place because it doesn't move back and forth. It's locked in there. There are these notches that fit inside this piece that lock it into place. So we're going to punch and slide, And we're going to go all the way across. Try not to do this too hastily, because if you do, sometimes your punches don't line up and then you don't end up with a nice clean piece. Now we're going to do that one more time for the other side, one per side of this 2-page layout. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. And then we've got our second border. Okay, I'm going to set those aside for a second. And we are done with the heart paper, so I'm going to set that over there. We're done with our border maker, so I'm going to put that away on my table here. Get my trimmer back out with my arm. All right, now we're going to take this lovely kind of burnt orange paper, and with this we are going to cut, let's see, we're going to cut 3/4 of an inch off of the edge. And we're going to set that piece aside. Then we're going to turn the paper and we're going to cut 2. Okay. And we're going to just cut 1 at 7 1/4. And then I'm going to need a second sheet of this so that I can cut a second one at 7 1/4. So I'm going to pause the video for just a second while I locate that second sheet of paper. All right, hang on just a second. All right, so this one, again, we're going to need to cut 3/4 of an inch from, this is my second piece. I need to make it match my other piece. So 3/4 of an inch, then we're going to turn it and cut this at 7 1/4. All right, now we have those 2 pieces, which I'm going to set aside. All right, now we're going to take our love paper and this sheet we are going to cut at 11, and let's see, I'm going to cut 2. No. Wow. Okay. I'm going to cut 1 strip at 4 inches. Then I'm going to cut another strip at 4 inches. Go. Set one of those 4 inches aside. Stack the other 2 on top of each other. Now we're going to cut 3/4 of an inch from the end of these 2 pieces. All right, we'll set those aside too. All right, I think we have enough pieces we can start assembling. Like I said before, we will need another couple of small pieces, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So let's start by laying out our left-hand side of the page. All right, so we're going to need our love and our diamonds. All right, and they are each going to be centered on their outer edges. Okay, so if you center the top one, let's start with the one that's easiest to see. on this darker wood. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put my adhesive on here. If you feel more confident putting repositionable adhesive on here so that you can lift it up easily and not worry about it being stuck down permanently where you don't want it, if you're, you know, insecure about that, that's fine. Use your repositionable adhesive, no worries. Okay, as long as you have an equal border around the edge, as equal as possible, then you'll have this centered. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and secure that to my page. Now I'm going to flip this one over and put some adhesive on this page too. You'll notice I'm only putting about putting my adhesive in about 5 spots down the long side. If you've watched me do this before, you know that I don't want you to overuse your adhesive. You don't need to just go straight down and put adhesive all the way down your page. I used to do that a long time ago. And then a very good friend of mine, who's actually my upline for Creative Memories, pointed out that I really actually don't need to do that. And she was absolutely right. I just, out of a force of habit, had been putting way too much adhesive on my pages. So since then I have stopped and I've had absolutely no problems with that. Okay, now I am going to need you to pull your trimmer out one more time. We're going to put a border right across this page or right across this seam in the middle. And we're going to put a border across the bottom, but we need to trim them because they are too long right now for what we need. Oh, and I beg your pardon, it looks like I did not cut 2 of this one. So I need to do that. So let me grab my heart paper so I can once again cut this. And it's going to be, it was 5/8 of an inch. So let me just make sure I have that at 5/8 of an inch. So I can cut a second one of those for my right page. Double page layout. Okay, now I'm going to take each of these border strips. I'm going to just trim 3/4 of an inch from these. All right, so we don't need 3/4 of an inch of either of these. All right. I should also tell you that this layout is not my design. This is a layout that I borrowed and have modified for my own use. So hopefully if the person who created this initially sees this, they won't have a problem since they published their sample, and I'm grateful that they did because I loved it. But this is not my own design. All right, now as you put this particular border piece on, the one that's going to cover this seam, I just added repositionable tape along the back, and I'm going to, repositionable adhesive, sorry, it's not tape, it's dots. Anyway, I'm going to line up the top flat edge of this border right along the seam so that I can keep it straight, and I'm going to know it's straight. So the edge is right here, right along the edge of my 11¼ inch pieces that I already put on, and the top edge of my border is right on the seam as that goes across. Okay, keeps it nice and perfectly straight. Otherwise, it might be difficult to keep straight. And I want it to stay straight and nice. Not look like I was inhibited when I put it on. Okay, this straight piece is going to go across the bottom about 1/4 of an inch up from the bottom of your 11.5 or 11 1/4 inch burnt orange piece with the diamonds on it. All right. Perfect. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and take our mats, these 2 mats, and we're going to, and I'm just noticing that I also failed to cut enough of these. So let me just go ahead and we'll go ahead and put this mat inside of the other one so you can see what it's going to look like. And then I'm going to grab my trimmer again because I got excited and thought that I was done, and I was not. So this is just going to be centered in here to provide some depth, and a 4x6 photo will fit perfectly in this. All right, and that will be nicely double matted. Now we're going to go ahead and grab my trimmer again. Here it is. And we're going to cut mats to put a 4x4 inch picture on here. So we're going to need the big piece of each of those sheets, each of these. All right, and so we're going to take the lighter colored mat and we're going to put it long ways on your trimmer, and we're going to cut this at 4 1/4. And we're going to turn it, and we're going to cut it again at 4 1/4. And then we're going to make sure that this piece is 4 1/4, which it is. So that's perfect. So set one of those aside, keep one of them out. We're going to use it in just a second. This piece we're going to do long ways, and it's going to be cut at 4 1/2. Turn it and cut another one at 4 1/2. And let's just make sure this last piece should be 4 1/2, and it is. Fantastic. Like I planned it that way. Okay. Set that trimmer aside, and we're going to go ahead and mount this piece. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this matted photo, and it is going to sit right here. And this matted photo is going to sneak right underneath it, just about 3/4 of an inch in or so, and down. So it'll sit right about there. All right. Now I'm also going to add a ribbon down the side here, but this is what I wanted to check and see because my measurements are not quite the same as the example that I am following. And so this ribbon is actually going to end up being probably about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. Actually, probably about 1/2 inch wide. And then we'll make it 5 inches long. Okay, so 1/2 inch by 5 inches, and we're going to need 2 of those. So I need to find a paper that I can use. This back of this strip is also a nice blue color, and it's just a slightly different texture, but it will work perfectly for that flag. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this at 5 inches. All right, and then we turn it, and we're going to cut 2 half-inch strips from this. Actually, I'm going to make them 5/8 of an inch. I think that will probably look nicer, and I have enough space I can do that. So not too worried. Yeah, that will look nice. Okay, so then we need another one that is just 5/8 of an inch. For our next page over. And I'm going to toss that last little tiny bit because I don't need it. Now, to make a really quick and easy flag, just take this 5/8 of an inch strip, fold one end so that the corners meet. You don't even have to actually crease it the whole way. Start cutting from the corner and go up about 1/4 of an inch for this piece and cut, and it will give you an even flag. All right, so there we've got our flag for the side. Now, this alternate piece that I was telling you about that was up there, I need to go ahead and make this into a flag, but what I want to double check is making sure I have another piece I can use for the other page, and I do, so no problem. Great. So I'm going to go ahead and fold this little scrap in half, and we're going to go ahead and cut that to make a flag as well. Okay, this is going to go up here on top. All right, and we're also going to you know what, that flag is kind of too wide for what I want. So I'm going to actually trim that just a little bit. We're going to take 1/4 of an inch off each side so that it's even. And a little bit more to scale for what we're doing here. All right, that looks better. Okay. Now I also need another piece that's going to go underneath that flag and be kind of the holder of some embellishments. So actually, I'm going to use another piece of this because it matches the blue that I've already got on the paper. And it's about the same size that I need. So I'm going to go ahead and cut 4 inches off of this piece. And I'm going to cut another one that has 4 inches, or that's at 4 inches, so I can add it to my other page. All right, so we're going to put those there. Another thing that we need to do is we need a photo mat to go right here. Now, what I'm going to use this mat for. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. I want it to be slightly less than 4 inches when I'm done. So what I'm going to do is take a look at the design, and I'm going to eyeball roughly the half mark of where halfway of this design. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut the top. All right, so if you're measuring, then I have just cut off about 1 3/8 of this mat. Okay, 1 3/8, and then I can just turn it around and move it up here to cut it at 3 3/4. All right. Now I want it to be 3 3/4 this way as well. And I can't cut too much off of this side. So I'm going to, knowing that this is a 4-inch mat, I'm going to just go ahead and cut 1/4 of an inch off of this side. And then I have a nice border around that mat. All right. So now what I need is I need this mat to be my mat for underneath here. So you can see if I put that on there, I actually have a really nice space right all around it. So I'm going to, let's see, this mat is 4.5 inches already. So I'm going to make a 4.5 inch square. And let's see how that looks. Trim off just that little bit, set it aside. I'm gonna just sort of set that on there and take a look at how it might look in this space. Is that what we want? I think I like it. Do you think you like it? I like it. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start adhering these down. Let's go ahead and grab our Pro Knit adhesive. And I'm going to leave this corner up here, this corner, unadhered. And I'll show you why in just a second. So I'm only going to put adhesive on these 3 corners. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put those down about 1/8 of an inch in from my papers that I've already secured to my base page. All right. This mat is going to sneak underneath it. So that's why I don't want to adhere all 4 corners. I want the people putting their photos on this page to be able to just slide a photo underneath there and not have to worry and I also don't want to cover up a lot of that other photo. So that's why I've moved it out just a little. So if you've seen this design on anyone else's page, you will notice that I have modified it just a little bit for that reason. So we're going to put our flag right up next to this mat and even at the top so that we have that 1/8 inch border on the outer edge. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and secure this. And we'll be close to being done. All right, so we're going to center this on here. So in all 4 corners. And this is going to be not quite all the way next to our smaller matted photo, but you know, a little bit closer. I still want to see all the words. I want to see those surrounding everything. Use my removable adhesive. I'm gonna actually wait just a second. Almost forgot a step. We need to put this down. This could actually be used for a photo too if you wanted, depending on if you have another photo you need to get on this page or not. I'm going to use it for embellishments. All right, so I'm going to put this actually about halfway over my middle border, which will make it a little bit difficult to see, but not too bad. All right. And we're going to come back in just a second and we'll do our embellishments. Okay, sorry about that. I had to take just a second and take care of some family stuff, but I'm back and we're trying to go ahead and get the embellishments taken care of on our page. So I just added a couple of stickers up here in the corner over the blue field that we have here. And I'm thinking, even though there are flowers on our quote right here from Robert Browning, I think I'm going to go ahead and add these flowers to those as well. So that will augment them. So let me go ahead and I'm going to just put some foam squares on this real quick so we can get it popped up. And maybe just one more right here. Okay, I think that should be good. Good enough. Okay. Get all the backs taken off here. Then I need to do one more something down in the lower left corner. Trying to decide what to put there. I have several cute things, but not knowing what the bride and groom are going to want to put on this page makes it just a little bit more difficult to decide what to do. All right, well, let's see. So we could just leave it at that. We could add a couple of these little doodads. Maybe stick one right there. And maybe another one down here. As far as what to put in this spot, it's kind of too big. That might be okay, but honestly, I almost think I don't need anything. That way, if they want to add some kind of journal box, they could, or something. I think I'm going to leave it at that. All right. Well, now we're going to just do the second page real quickly, and I will include just a quick couple glimpses of that as soon as I get that put together. No need to keep you on the video while we do that. It'll be a mirror image of this one on the right hand side over here. And when I have it together, I will show you. So hold on for just a moment. All right, so here we have the right side of the layout all finished. To mirror the left side of the layout, But you'll notice I only have embellishments in the upper left corner, kind of in the middle, and the lower right corner. The reason that I did it that way is to draw your eye across the page. I'm going to go ahead and add just a little extra dot gem to that lower embellishment, and this layout is done. So I hope that you've been able to enjoy watching this and gotten some good ideas for improving your layouts or for doing something a little different with your scrapbook. And I hope you keep creating, and we'll see you next time.